That guy up there.
It was for me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
The last number I heard was 8.
8! Wow. I think that might broke the record this year. I'll have to track that down. Okay, before we get started, welcome to the second day of Jalloo. And I just want to go over a couple of things for this morning. So this morning at after half an hour or so, the showcase is going to be open again in the gym. Then we have the lectures and the panels are in this room again today, and also 125. We also have a workshop with Engreen in B6. He asked me to tell you that he's going to break it up into 2, so that if you want to attend one or the other, so that if you wanted to go to one of the panels this morning. The first half is going to be demonstration and showing how it works, and then the second half is going to be a workshop where you're going to get to actually do some stuff. So that if you can go to part of it, and also be able to go to some of the panels. At 12:30, we have the network barbecue lunch, and that is here on site in the cafeteria. We'll be bringing the food in from outside with our trusty barbecues in the back. And hopefully this year, I will not set off the fire alarm. That was my fault. But it's not that windy today, so hopefully when the smoke won't be blowing back into the door. It was just the door opened one too many times. Okay, so I want to get started. So I would like to introduce Joe Gilland, and he is a special effects animator. He's an animation director, special effects animator, journalist, author, and musician. You're very multi-talented. And I'm just confessing, I have a little early morning pregnant brain, so I'm kind of reading this a little bit. His most recent book, Elemental Magic, The Art of Special Effects Animation, is a sensation. And I have to agree because we use it here at the school, and it is an awesome book. It's one of the best books for special effects we've ever had. So I highly suggest that if you're interested, that you should definitely pick it up. But I'm going to let Joe kind of go over his bio, because he wants to differ a little bit from the reading, and it'll be more accurate. And I'll turn the mic over to you. And welcome very much. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Hello, Jalloo and Mayor Rishi. Thanks, Heather. Before I get started, I think I'd really just like to thank everyone here involved in organizing the festival, especially Tara Otidea, who she met me last year at the Ottawa Festival and told me all about Jalloo and said, I'm going to get you out there. We're going to get you out there, and it sounded really interesting to me. And she went to a lot of trouble and pulled a lot of strings and yanked on everybody's chains, and here I am. So I'd like to thank Tara, and of course Heather, Curtis, Brian, and all the volunteers that have helped shuttle us all over the place. I mean, you're an amazing crew, and it's a real blast. I think we should give them all a hand. I'm pretty excited to be doing this keynote speech. I'm going to do a little bit of reading too, because I kind of have pregnant brain too. I'm used to doing workshops and in my workshops I have a script, but I usually pick it up and I look at it and I throw it aside and I just talk, because my workshops I'm talking about what I love, absolutely. But today I'm talking about what I love, but it's going to be a little more structured. So if I look like I'm reading, that's because I am. Okay. And this is a really nice change from doing a workshop, which needs to be really structured, because this morning I'm just gonna what I'm calling this keynote speech, talk, whatever you want to call it, is the magic of animation, because I think that's what brings us all here and what joins us all and gives us a common interest. And whether it's independent short films or feature films or TV series or games, we're all involved in the same thing. It's the same thing that captivates us all, right? And so it's a nice chance to just relax and not have to give a workshop and just kind of talk about where I'm coming from. I thought it was really interesting because yesterday morning I was here listening to Scott Siegel talk via Skype, and he was very clever because he got a slideshow going so you couldn't see him reading his notes while he was giving his keynote speech. Instead, you saw cute little cartoons and stuff like that. But I realized while I was listening to him and his presentation, I realized we're polar opposites as far as where we're coming from, not just stylistically and our approach, but also generationally. We come from completely different worlds. And I don't know if that was really clever strategy on the part of the Jalloo management or if it was just a total fluke. But I think it's really fantastic because it gives me an opportunity to join the two, you know, and look, because I started looking for the things that are familiar about our experiences and rather than the differences. But Scott and I really do come from a completely different time frame and a different approach to animation and completely. But the beautiful thing about animation is that it crosses those boundaries of space and time. You know, it doesn't matter what generation you're from. It doesn't matter what medium you're using. It doesn't matter if you're a classical hand-drawn animator or a CGI animator or a game developer. We're all really basically after the same thing. So myself, I was born in 1958, so if you want to do the math, that makes me a little bit older than Scott, probably. I don't know how old he was. But I grew up in an analog world, like a completely analog world. Videotape was being used to film the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, but nobody had videotape at home yet. What I had at home was 2 channels, black and white TV, and basically, and when I think of that, you know, how I grew up, I had Saturday morning cartoons. I had a little 3-hour window where I could watch cartoons on Saturday morning, and that was it, basically, unless I got to see a Disney film or an animated film in the theater. And then on TV, in between the TV shows, they would sometimes show a little National Film Board. CBC would show National Film Board films now and then, if they had a little extra time in between shows. And that was something that really inspired me. And then, of course, there were TV commercials that had a lot of animation in them. But I was thinking about that and comparing that to the world that Scott grew up in. He was talking yesterday, and I mean, he had probably 200 cable channels as soon as he could remember, you know, on big color television, and he had this incredible plethora of games to play, and just all this digital entertainment, like a million things to choose from. Whereas I had a very little bit of stuff to choose from, and so so we're really coming from a different place, but our choices and our career paths couldn't be more different. And I'm going to read it here because it sounded so good when I wrote it. But the thing is, we were both drawn by animation. We were both drawn in. We were both hooked by animation, like a moth to a flame. There was something about animation that just completely captivated us, and it was like a no-brainer that we knew that that's what we wanted to do. Like, he talked about the magic of games and how that just drew him in. That was the most interesting thing in the world to him, and to me, it was animation. And I think because of the fact that I had a very limited entertainment, I didn't have VHS tapes or DVD players, didn't have a big library of all my favorite shows. You could only watch what was on TV when it was there. And so, let's see. I already went through all that. Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking of the shows I used to watch on Saturday morning. Basically, Bugs Bunny was the show. Bugs Bunny is what really made me fall in love with animation. And the thing is, there was also really bad animation on TV back then, stuff like Mr. Magoo, the Hercules show, the Beatles even had a TV series, really badly animated, limited animation, but you know, it didn't matter to me. I loved all of it, pretty much equally. Like I didn't, like the old Johnny Quest show, it's terrible. It's just incredibly bad. But I watched it like with my mouth hanging open, just like, I couldn't, like that is so cool. You know, I just loved animation. I ate it all up, eh? And it was just a complete transportation into a world where like animals can talk, you know, and Bugs Bunny can do impossible things at the blink of an eye. And he could trick everybody, and he was smarter than everybody. And I wanted to be